as we know, for the love of money, is the root of all evil, right? So, yeah, I was watching this documentary a while ago, even before I got in the real estate industry, as far as being a realtor. I kind of have been in the real estate sphere for a long time now, a long time, dealing with a bunch of property managers going to their job sites. In essence, I worked with a supplier that supplied a lot of building supplies, right? So it's mostly going to job sites, trying to see who has what. So if you go there and you see, for instance, a brand scarf, you want to try to get that appliance business from that investor. If you walk in their job site and you see locally here we got 48 lumber or something, you probably want to get that business. Hey, why are you getting your lumber from there? You see Pella windows. My supplier didn't supply Pella windows at the time. We did, like, I think Anderson or something. So why are you getting your windows from Pella? How can we beat that? So in essence, that's what I was doing. Or you see, like, in paint, you see, what are the paint companies around here locally? But you get the idea. Wow, I'm shocked these companies can't come to mind. I remember seeing their buckets all the time in some of these job sites. Sherwin-Williams, you see all these other paint companies. Now you want to get their paint business. So in essence, I was working with these technically developers, but they're not like massive developers. They mostly build single family homes, fix and flippers, right? But they do it at a pretty efficient level, 10 houses, 10 projects at a time. So I've done that for a little while, dealing with these contractors. And while I was in there, you like to just stay up to date in the industry. I was watching this documentary, but it was mostly focused in Canada. And you know how documentaries are, they talk about different things, but then they honed in on this one lady as the primary example of the documentary. And her thing was, she was trying to sell her home for sale by owner, and they kind of investigated, they had hidden cameras in her property and neighboring properties that were less or even better than hers, things like that. And they showed realtors that were staring. It just says, as it says, you're staring. You're kind of. There's a specific definition, when you take your real estate exam, but staring is literally, as it says, you're staring your client into a specific direction for whatever reason that may be. If you're staring your client for their best interests so they can possibly save money, get the home they desire, then I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You're just doing your first duty as a realtor, right? You have their best interest in mind. Right, I think it's fiduciary duty, but you have their best interest in mind. You're making sure they get what they're paying you for. You're helping them to as much as you possibly can, because when it comes to legal aspects, as a realtor, we're advised to stay away from that. You may give not only legal but also in areas where you need to be trained. For instance, you can say, "Oh, I see a leak here." You can't go give plumbing details about the plumbing of the house. That's not your area. You advise your client, "Hey, I'm suspicious there might be some issues here. Let's hire a plumber to come look at this," right? Or roofing, I think the roof may need some work. Let's hire a specialist to come look at this, get a second opinion. You need to kind of have a feel for it. And that's, I think, it's kind of funny how things all play over time. That's a little bit of a plus that I kind of thank God I have now. And I wouldn't foresee it, I remember walking as a salesperson, going to these builders that are flipping $1 million properties in Washington, D.C., and I don't know anything about the building process, how a house is built, you know, and they pretty much buy the house, they gut it out. Like in Washington, D.C., you got to keep the front of most of the buildings because they're trying to keep the historic look. So you can buy the house. There are townhouses, a row of them. So there's a wall and there's somebody living on this side, somebody living on this side. But on the middle section, there's just that front wall. The entire back has been gutted. If you go back there, literally what's holding that front section up are like lumbers, planks leaning down against the ground. So that guy purchases that house, tears everything down, and he's building the house from scratch, in essence, a brand new house, just with that old front. And then we had to go in there and try to sell him concrete, everything. Was there anything we couldn't supply? I really doubt it. Drywall, windows, doors, doorknobs, everything. We were just trying to. But some of these contractors would say, I don't want to give all my business to one company, you know. I want to be able to shop around for deals. Understandable. So imagine you going to people that are building 10, 20 houses. You're going to sell them product. They're going to ask you questions as though you're a professional, you know. And you go there, you can't answer these questions. So I shadowed one of my mentors, and she was a very nice lady. She's been doing it for a while. And she sent me this. She was the one that kind of sent me these documentaries to watch. She sent me a documentary about, she likes it. It's a very old documentary, talks about the building process, what goes down first. She actually sent me the videos on my phone so I can know step by step how a house is built. Because when you encounter these contractors, sometimes they expect you to know. If you came to my job site, does the plumbing go down before you lay the foundation? Or do you lay the foundation first? Or after you put the plumbing, you lay the foundation, what's next? Is it wiring? Is it drywall? Are you building the frame? The reason why they expect you to know that, sometimes they're expecting you to kind of be looking for those products, because as suppliers, we didn't supply everything. Obviously, we're like an intermediary. Some things we created, but most of it is like you're outsourcing to vendors. So they need you to be talking to these vendors already to kind of line them up so their job doesn't get stalled. Because these house flippers are like on time. They take a loan, sometimes hard money loans from those that are just starting out. And the longer they take completing these house projects, the more interest rate they pay, you know. So I actually ran into one of those guys. Was it 2 weeks ago? He was so happy to see me, gave me a big old hug. He said, man, the market has slowed down. We completed 3 houses and we did open houses and we didn't have any showings, you know. He said neighbors came through because they were curious, but actual buyers that were interested in buying these houses didn't show. This was actually like 2 weeks ago. I ran into one of those, not the top guy, but one of the main guys I was dealing with. His cousin owns the company, and it's a very family type thing. So his cousin got him to oversee all the project managers and the contractors, because unfortunately contractors normally are not, you know, not everybody, but some of them weren't so genuine. You know, they'll steal like faucets. Some of those faucets cost $200-$300, you know, and you buy 10 of them for all these houses you're building. You store it in one of the properties that is almost semi-finished, and then a few of them walk out the door. Or they will just drag their feet in how fast they work, because they normally get paid by the day or by the job, or don't know how they get paid, their pay structure. But in essence, dragging the work out, stealing property. So he was the guy that was accounting for all of that. And I dealt with him more so than the top guy that owned the company. The guy that owned the company, I actually only met him once in the years I dealt with the company. And I was in the sit down where he was talking to my superiors, but I had to be there because I was the point of contact with the other gentleman I'm talking about. He was the point of contact with our company, so we both had to sit there. You know, you kind of know, the two of us know each other more. We know what's going on. My superiors, they don't know the intricate details about that account, and vice versa. He doesn't know all the intricate details about the transaction with us. So I only met him one time. But the other guy that was the lower level guy that did all the project, oversaw the projects, I dealt with him all the time. And I saw him a few days ago, and he was just telling me, hey, this is what's going on in the market over there. I say all that to say that knowledge there of knowing just how to build a house, like literally just going, when you go to a project, it's completely just dirt, right? And some trailers, some caterpillars, some concrete pallets. And then you're actually selling this guy everything from that process. Then you see the pipes go down and the framing, then, you know, the drywall, insulation, all of that. Then, you know, electrical wires get ran. You see the whole process. Well, the framing, electrical wires, then they put the drywall. You see the whole house form. You know, it just kind of helps now as a realtor when I walk into a house and I can say, hey, there's something here. But I can't say I know what's wrong, because then there can be a legal issue, right? So I said all that to say that in essence. So it kind of helps, and I never knew the path, how things led. For instance, I was, you know, dealing with a buyer last week and buying a brand new home. Come to find out, the agent for that developer, massive developer, probably one of the biggest single family developers in Maryland. I see their signs all over. Like, they buy acres upon acres of land and just build brand new homes. Excuse me. So dealing with the buyer, we went over there. When I was just interacting with the rep for that company, turned out he was a real estate agent for like 10 years, and now he's working for him. He's actually a broker, a licensed broker right now. So you never know what one path may lead you into another. You know, all things are kind of woven together. So just looking back, being a real estate agent and going into a house, you can see things that may be wrong with a house, and you can kind of give an opinion, but when it comes down to a fact, a stated fact, you need to refer it to a professional. Anyway, I say all that to say, this ongoing lawsuit, that particular job led me to my mentor that sent me these documentaries, and as I was watching them, I saw realtors, right, in Canada, and the news channel went to this one lady. She was selling a house for sale by owner. So she's selling a house for sale by owner, and they were trying to catch his realtors in the act of staring. So we talked about antitrust. Trust, like, you know, the public is putting a lot of trust in these organizations that are looking out for, one, the interest of their clients, which are us realtors, but also the public in general, right? To make sure the public is serviced and at a fair and ethical, in an ethical manner. So that documentary was showing these realtors, this house is for sale by owner. Man, and the lady was making a ton of money on the house. It wasn't like she was, you know, even if she paid a commission, but you never know what somebody wants to do with the money, you know. She was getting older, so who knows? Maybe she was banking on that for her retirement, but it was something somewhere around 70, 80,000, even if she paid a commission, or maybe over 100 plus. It was a lot of money. I don't know how much it was, but the house had appreciated hundreds of thousands of dollars. So even if she paid like a commission of $40,000. She was still getting ready to walk away with a huge amount. I don't want to get the numbers wrong, but she was getting ready to walk away, even with commissions paid, hundreds of thousands of dollars, because she had bought the house, stayed there for a while. She took great care of it, and it just appreciated. The neighborhood blew up, as we normally say, right? So she was getting ready to cash out, but she didn't want to pay any commission. So she wanted to sell by owner. So they put the hidden cameras there. The realtors walked in, and they were just not like, they would walk in, look at the house, try to engage with her, try to get her to list the property. She would tell them, no, I'm selling this by owner. And those same realtors now will go around the neighborhood showing clients houses that were not even up to par to the lady's house, right? And they're staring them away from that property because they knew she didn't pay any commission. She paid no commission, so there's no essence in showing them that house. They don't get any money. So, is that fair to the lady trying to sell her property? Maybe not. Is that fair to the buyer? Definitely not. That's not the best interest of your buyer. As a realtor, you didn't show your buyer maybe the best property on the block because you were looking out for that commission. But is it fair now to the realtor to do all of that work and get no money? Definitely not, right? So what agents do is if you list, let's say that lady didn't list her house, the other houses were listed by a realtor. These other buyers agent now took their clients to these houses where, this is in Canada, I remember, so it has nothing to do with the lawsuit ongoing. I just kind of want to get you an understanding. So these realtors now took their clients to the houses in the neighborhood that were being sold by a realtor. And I'll give you my example with the client I'm dealing with that's buying this new property. These builders don't pay the same amount of commission. And I'll just say, without getting into details, the difference in that commission check is going to be about $5,000. Initially, I wanted my buyer to pay the rest of it, but they were squeezing so much for money, they wanted to upgrade. It was so much going on. I just fell back and said it's better for them to be happy in what they purchase. The builder is going to give me some commission anyway. I'm not out here for the money. You do it for the money, but taking care of the person, to me, and another thing is I've known this person for over 10 years. So it's like that relationship is worth more than that $5,000, right? And plus, just in that transaction, they told me, hey, we got 2 family members that are looking to buy houses. Once they see we got ours, we're going to refer them to you. So it's just like, you never know when you just do things genuinely, you never know. You can go scrape 5,000 out of that and block yourself from repeat. This is like a new couple moving in. Let's say they get children, they want to relocate. You're going to be their agent moving forward. So I don't believe in squeezing every dime out of a transaction and leaving people with a bad taste in their mouth where they're not going to want to deal with you anymore. So don't be penny wise, pound foolish, trying to squeeze a penny and you lose a pound. So the relationships, to me personally, and I thank God for my position where that commission check is not, if I don't get that, I wouldn't eat, right? So if that's how I was right now, who knows where I would be and my thought process, because I don't want to make myself seem better than other agents. But I thank God I'm not in that position to where I'm like, I need that money to just, by any means necessary. I think the relationships are better. Anyway, I say all that to say, did a transaction with a buyer and I'm losing $5,000 in commission. because the seller is not paying as much as I would have gotten if I went to a realtor, just a regular realtor and a seller. So I didn't steer my client to something that would be beneficial for me, right? And that's why this lawsuit, you know, it's they just putting everybody in a box in essence. They thinking all realtors always stir people to, you know, and personally speaking, from my that just happened to me literally. And I told my buyer at the meeting, hey, this is going to cost me X amount of dollars. And then the seller told the builder, the developer said, normally other real estate agents would charge you that balance. And in essence, I really thought about doing it, but it's just that they upgraded the house to a higher level and it was a little too much. So I was just like, you know what? Nah, we're not going to charge them this. It's not worth it. You know, let them get what they want. If they're satisfied, I think in the long term, that'd be a better investment than that $5,000, right? Anyway, so realtors now would say, I need that $5,000. I'm not going to go to this for sale by owner person, this new developer. I'm going to go to, they show their clients a house that pays the most commission in essence. So now these sellers are now saying, it's not my job to pay for that commission. That's what the gist of it is, right? So I saw that documentary, and that's why the antitrust thing comes into play. Once again, I'm not a legal guy, so I don't want to get too much into it, but I just want to say, this is after going on for about 10 minutes. I just want to say, there's this concern for the public that they may not be able to, it may not be fair. If you got people that are not genuine, I see the danger there to where they're only staring their clients. They might stare their clients to the house that gives the most commission and not necessarily, one, not in the best interest of the buyer. Second, not in the best interest of other sellers. But that seller who's paying the most commission, who got the biggest property, they're always in the winning position. Ironically, though, the lawsuit is not coming from a buyer. It's coming from a seller that paid the commission. So after they paid the commission, I don't want to say buyer's remorse. They got seller's remorse. Like, man, I paid them 30 grand and they paid another agent 15 of that 30. Why did I pay that agent 15 of that 30? But here, let me give you another perspective. The perspective is, you got seller's agents and you got buyer's agents, right? So people just master. Some people are good at everything, but you know, jack of all trade, master of none, right? So it's better to master. You need your lane in any industry. You know, sometimes it's as you get good in that lane, then you can kind of branch off and learn a little bit more. You know, but it's good to have a lane and then go from there. So some people are good with sellers. You know, they're good at getting listings. They know how to close deals. Others are good with buyers. They know how to find buyers. So now you find a buyer. This seller is going to make sure your house sells quickly. So if you got to move, that's the plus in paying the commission. If you got to move in a timely manner, the seller is going to be able to get that done. If you want to get the most for your house, so let's say you're asking $400,000. This seller know all these buyers agent. He starts a bidding war for your house. Instead of selling it for $400,000, you end up selling it for $450,000. You can still pay whatever commission you had to pay and then get some more money. So if you get the right seller that can partner with the right buyer's agents, it doesn't matter because they can start bidding wars to where you'll pay commission but still net the most. So these are the things, right? On the other side for the buyer, I'll just look at it like this. Or let me try to break it down like this. Just based on the example I gave you with a client I dealt with, and most people renting or buying, only a few have just the resources stacked up. They're ready to go. Most people have most of the resources, but buying a house takes a lot, and then moving into it, and then 9 times out of 10, you're starting a family, you need some resources. So you may have the money, but you need some resources. So the buyer, that's why buyers normally look for seller's concession. Can the seller do the closing costs? That's why the government got the FHA program, all of these. It's not the easiest thing to do. So it's almost like if the buyers now have to pay that 3% commission to an agent, the amount of houses sold will be will drop, right? And it just it really depends on how you look at it, but yeah, I just think the more expensive you make something, does it become more affordable to a lot of people, you know? And owning a home is big. So a lot of people may not be able to buy houses, at least not the house of their dream. Maybe they need to drop down. But when you drop down in the amount you're going to pay on a house, then you talk about moving into a high crime neighborhood, a neighborhood that may not be so favorable for your children, all of these things. So then it kind of goes to a redlining almost again, right? Where they kind of keep you out of certain neighborhoods economically, not through blatant discrimination or anything, but just economically, they bar you out, right? So that those are the other areas that this lawsuit may open, you know, buyers to where they may not be able to get the house they desire, may not be able to move their children into the school districts they desire because now they got to pay a commission. So there's so much that can possibly go on with this lawsuit. But in summarizing, what it's about is sellers are saying we paid a commission not only for my agent, but also for the buyer's agent, and that's not fair. That's what they're saying. The agents are saying, hey, we didn't lie to you. We told you the commission and how it gets broken down. That helps us get your house sold faster. Where we are now, let's see. So this judge just granted the law, this lawsuit to kind of move on. You know, it says designation as a class means plaintiffs can pursue large-scale claims against the National Association of Realtors, RE/MAX LLC, Long & Foster, Keller Williams, just all these other ones, right? Georgia's order was not ruling on a merit of the allegation, which can still be contested at a later stage. The defendants have denied their conspiracy allegations. So the conspiracy allegations is why I gave you that story about how realtors kind of didn't show that lady a house, like staring. That's conspiracy. So if these things are proven, that may be a problem. But if it's not proven, and honestly speaking, it just boils down to who knows how it's going to turn out, right? But on an agent level, just personal integrity, and those are some things that can actually get your license suspended. Do you have ethics? Do you have morals? You know what I mean? Are you all about the money? Because if you're all about the money, now you're staring people to where you get the biggest commission check. You don't care if the house is ran down. You don't care about anything. You don't, if it's in a bad neighborhood, whatever. Just, you don't care if it's too far from the homeowner. I mean, the buyer. You don't care. You just want that check. So whatever pays the most commission, let me take them there. So there's no ethics, right? But if you're doing it ethically, then I think it helps the transactions move. It helps the seller sell their house. Let's say you got an emergency, you got to get rid of a house, financial emergency, and in the market, especially like this one today, you put it for sale by owner or with a 3% commission, it's not going to attract as much buyers. So is there a conspiracy? No, because those agents that are bringing these buyers got to get paid. Do you want them to just work for free? Is that what we're saying? So no, if they got to get paid and these buyers cannot afford the commission for them, as a seller, it's almost like the seller's paying closing costs. You know, some of the closing costs. If you're going to get enough offers to where you make more than your asking price, as a seller, you just say, okay, I made more than I wanted anyway. Who cares if I pay this extra whatever to an agent? They gave me my asking price and then some. So it depends. But if you just, I need all my money, that should have been my money, then that's where the issues are. So what does that mean? Well, let's just take a look at a few things here. This is another website I looked at, a federal judge in Illinois. Same thing it's stating. It says plaintiff in the Morrill case filed in 2019 alleged that commission sharing inflates the cost for sellers. They allege that it inflates the cost for sellers. We already went into that. It costs the sellers more by maybe 3%. Possibly, yes. I don't even think, in violation of the Sherman Act ruling against the National Association of Realtors and various franchises, then it gave the name of them. This may be true, but if that seller now, that seller's agent gives you more money than you were looking for, it's not like the cost is going to go higher, you know. Anyway, let the legal people deal with that. It all depends on how it comes down to. Plus, these things are not hidden. Moreover, because buyer brokers will show homes to their clients where the seller is offering a lower buyer broker commission. That's what I talked about that video where there was staring. So if staring is going on, then that's the problem. On my personal example, like I gave, I think giving the client what they are looking for is the most ethical way to do it. That's the problem about money, right? When you love money and you don't have any ethics in what you do, you may do some things that are not right. But if you genuinely care about the outcome, and in the long run, you end up making more money anyway. If people, that's the best kind of advertisement is word of mouth. When somebody says, go to that doctor, go to that nurse, go to that realtor, they took care of me. I think that is where it should be. And I think with the example I gave, helping a client get the house of their dreams, even though it cost me $5,000 in commission, over the span of time, depending on how long that may be, it's going to give me way more than $5,000, you know. So, but some people see it as in here and now. So there are a few things there. And a lot of these companies are being sued for $13 billion with a B, right? So I looked at some websites, and depending on the website you look at, they kind of rank these agencies differently. This one is saying Keller Williams is the top company in the world. Second to the company I work for, Remax. Then here it says 3 is Caldwell Banker, then Century 21. Then you know, you got a few more down the list, but based on who you look at or what website you look at, they give you different companies as 1 or 2. I saw like Keller Williams's peak revenue in 2022, however, was like 180 million. Remax's total revenue was at 355 million for 2022, something along those lines. So we're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars, but they're being sued for 13 billion. So this lawsuit right here can result in some of the major players in the industry going out of business if they lose the lawsuit. To their defense, one thing is you're not being blindsided. These things are broken down, and the reason why the seller's agent is charging you that is to get the desired result, getting your house sold and sold at a fast pace. It's almost, to me, it's the very essence of why some people go to a 5-star restaurant rather than a fast food restaurant, right? A 5-star restaurant, you're going to get the desired result of eating possibly healthy or something you tasty, something you like, slow cooked meal, something that reminds you of home cooked, as opposed to something fast, unhealthy, So you're getting the desired results, you're paying more for it, right? Why people wear designer suits or wear name brand watches rather than the one that, the cheap watches, right? There's a cost benefit analysis to these things. You pay the cost and you get the service desired. Can those results be the same if the seller didn't pay that commission? I really doubt it, right? It will then transfer that cost. Somebody has to pay. It would transfer the cost to the buyer. And are you saying if the buyer cannot afford that commission, they shouldn't buy a house? If that's what you're saying, or if it's not your concern as to whether they buy a house or not, then that's up to you. That's fine, but are you going to be able to sell your property? So somebody has to pay. There's a cost somewhere. Nothing is free, right? And that's what we'll let the legal people decide. But those are going to be some of the ramifications. Some people may not be able to afford houses, or the real estate commission may be restructured. Who knows? Or it all may just be kicked out because you sold the house, you sold it at an amount. And one thing I'm seeing is they're not settling. They're actually going to trial, which is a good thing, because if you settle, then it opens up Pandora's box. Everybody and their mother will start suing you, right? But if you fight it and you win it, then it shuts the door to that. If you lose it, possibly you may be going out of business. But if they make a ruling that's not so egregious or not so punitive, then you can kind of get maybe sometimes people go at $13 billion and settle for $1 billion, but these companies are only making hundreds of millions. So this lawsuit is out here to just destroy the industry technically. But all these people got lawyers, so high paid lawyers, that's what their job is for. They're just the unfortunate ones in every single industry, right? You got doctors that do malpractices. You got crooked cops in every single industry. You got people that break the rules. But if the National Association of Realtors is overseeing, and then the local board of realtors, like here in Maryland, we got the Maryland Association of Realtors, right? If they're overseeing their agents to make sure they're not staring, and even the government boards, sometimes they would send people to go buy houses, or especially in neighborhoods where they feel as though these staring or redlining things are happening. The Fair Housing Commission, they would just do these things to see are these things happening. So if they do their job to actually investigate and regulate and clean the industry up, then it shouldn't be anything to worry about. Or if all agents were ethical, But here to say we're going to punish an entire industry for the bad decision of a few agents, I don't think that's fair all the way across. And if you cannot even prove that those agents were conspiring in the first place, if they were literally doing the best for their clients to either buy or sell. Because what did I stare my client into less commissions? No, I gave them the best possible outcome. So if these agents can prove that, like, hey, I provided the best house for my client, or I provided the most buyers for my client, then this lawsuit may just not hold any water. Who knows? So we talked about companies possibly going bankrupt based on how this thing falls out. We talked about what this means for buyer's agent. For buyer's agent, currently getting paid by seller's agents. We talked about that. This could restructure the commission framework. Seller's agent, this 3% incentive currently drives buyer's agent. We talk about that. So seller may charge the seller's agent may charge the seller 3%, 6% for selling the property, but they pay 3 of that out. That 3 that they pay out is to give them buyers, like to bring buyers quicker. What this may do for seller's agent, if they lose this lawsuit, you got to put your working hat on now, right? You can't just list it and people bring our buyers to you because of a commission. There's no incentive, for them to bring you buyers. So now you got to go do the work and go find buyers. You may need to be a buyer and a seller's agent. So who knows? There's just so many angles, so many possibilities with this thing. But I really think it boils down to ethics, man. If you just do business on the up and up, then you ain't got to worry about it. That's really what I think. What this means for the industry, it depends on how you look at it, Can it clean up the industry from those who are not genuine? Possibly. But like I said, how many incidents have we had with police brutality or like gun violence or all these laws that they enact? Does it stop these things, Does it really stop them? Does it stop crime? Does it stop, can it put a Band-Aid on it? I hope, you don't want to be in an industry where everybody is just a slime ball. You just hope people really got morals, man, And unfortunately, that may not be the case,